Welcome, Jim, Chairman and CEO of SES Advisors, and I'm happy to have you here celebrating 25 years in business. Tell me, Jim, what are the specific services and for the clients that you offer in your industry?
Well, thanks, Donna. We focus on ESOPs and employee ownership. And really what we focus on are middle market companies in transition, companies that are looking at liquidity and succession and going through the range of alternatives. And most of the time, we're focused on the companies that the shareholders, usually founding entrepreneurs, are interested in achieving some sort of fair value for their business, but they also have another set of goals, either personal goals about remaining with the business and also larger goals about legacy and what is going to happen to their business.
So you've spent your entire career working with ESOPs. Tell me, how did you get started in that area?
Well, it's a sort of a funny story in that even before I went to law school, quite literally I was hitchhiking on a day off from a camp counselor job and got picked up by a fellow who was the director of a not-for-profit focused on employee ownership. And he started telling me about it. And for whatever reasons, it really, really resonated to me. It seemed like something that had combined doing something that was good and worthwhile in the world with something that was real hard, had real numbers, had real value as well. So I followed up with that and ended up with a similar not-for-profit here in Philadelphia. And unfortunately, that turned out to be a not-for-profit in fact as well as theory. So at the ripe old age of about 26 years old, I found myself saying, I need to start my own business because the not-for-profit is going away and I know something about ESOPs and employee ownership, and this seems worth doing.
Now, okay.
I have a vivid memory of talking to my wife then, who was a not-for-profit consultant, was out earning me at that point, and saying, ironing my one good white shirt on the way to go talk to a client and saying, gee, if this client is willing to hire me, I think rather than going and joining another firm, I'll just go off and start my own thing.
So you've grown this firm over the past 25 years. How many employees do you have to date?
We have, I think, 30 or 31 folks right now. And we started off, I started off by myself and quickly ended up with two partners. And it's been an interesting journey over the 25 years.
So I assume you didn't find them hitchhiking. How do you find people that are like-minded and also skilled enough to be able to consult in this area?
Well, I think first off, there was a sort of a network of people that knew something about this. But as we've grown, we've really grown by a mixture of finding some folks who had some background in this area or some related field, and then really looking for people who were attracted by what we did, had some general technical skills or general skills with talking with closely held businesses and sort of saying, do you want to come play? Is this a good thing? This might be an interesting thing in your life. And so we've been able to do that fairly successfully, growing both laterally through hiring folks who had some background and sort of growing organically by finding folks who can develop and have an interest and passion for this.
So networking is pretty important in your business. How do your customers find you, or do you find them?
Well, our marketing strategy, such as it is, really doesn't involve selling anything, because my experience is you can't sell people an ESOP or talk them into it through charm, personality, or technical facility. It's really a matter of going and educating the world about ESOPs. So we do an awful lot of talking, presenting. We maintain a fairly sophisticated website with a lot of breadth and depth of information in it. And all we want to do is tell people as much as we can to help them figure out whether this makes sense for them. And we know there's a lot of folks for this is the wrong tool or the wrong approach and maybe not where they want to go. But there's a number of folks where it is the right approach, and we want to help them find it, because one of the chronic problems is that ESOPs are not well known and well understood. And so we're really educators first and foremost.
So what would you say has changed about ESOPs over the past 25 years?
Well, there's a couple of interesting things that have changed. First of all, the education process has changed. When I started doing this, our first approach to education was to buy a list of names of businesses and send them a piece of mail saying, would you like to come to a seminar and learn about ESOPs, and we'll tell you everything we know. And the only way you could really learn at that point was to go listen to somebody like me talk in front of you with in the pre-PowerPoint days with some sort of presentation. And these days, the education really happens a lot over the internet and virtually. And so most of the folks we start speaking with are already somewhat knowledgeable. We're not starting from zero. And that's an interesting way of how knowledge gets presented. And the second thing is the kind of ESOPs we're doing are different. In the late 80s, when I was doing this, in the early days, the tax advantages and the laws really favored the idea that a business owner would maybe sell a minority fraction of their business to an ESOP. They would sort of take some chips off the table, they would share a little bit of ownership, and then see what happens next. And so the vast majority of ESOPs were cases where the employees owned a minority interest in the company. And in the last 10 years, the tax laws have changed over the long run and really now encourage business owners to think about selling the whole company to an ESOP, either in one or several transactions, with the idea eventually they will reap the holy grail benefit or tax benefit of ESOPs, which is to have a company where all of the taxable income of the company is attributed to employees through this tax-exempt pension trust, which practically means that nobody's paying any taxes currently on the corporate income. And these companies are running, if you will, as tax-free as the United Way. So that's driving much more of our business now, as opposed to the old days when we were really looking at minority interest ESOPs.
Well, that's a great deal of expertise, and congratulations on 25 years in business. Thanks for sharing this with us.
Well, thank you very much.